So, just answering questions on my Ask Me Anything. Currently in the office. I gotta do this because I have a meeting in 15 minutes. But yeah, we should get through it. Um, yeah, from Bench. Can you shed some light on being generous? Is there a term for us humans to be too generous? Oh, I guess when you feel like you've given too much. Where do we draw the line? Can't we just have faith while being generous? I guess, and not have to think about what we get in return. I know the concept of stewardship, but I think we have a tendency to think selfishly when we hold back, when someone asks us to treat them out or something. Well, hopefully you could share your thoughts. Thanks, Bench. So I'll email you the answer also, but a quick answer would just be around um, generosity is not so much just a just what we whether we're treating people out or all of that, right? It's possible to actually do those things and not be generous. Generosity is ultimately an attitude or like an approach to life, right? So someone who's generous, they approach life with or they're just willing to give and not necessarily thinking about every dollar and cent or every like every return they get for that. So so I don't think you can be too generous in the sense that um, that you have this attitude where you just really want to keep giving people. In fact, I like to encourage lives of overflow where your life just helps as many people as possible. If you want to balance that with wisdom, which is that you're overflowing in such a way that um, doesn't sacrifice, the things that are most important to you. So I like to look at all the things I do for work as all of the activities that create and capture value. And when you put it that way, um, my idea is to overflow so much in how I create so much value that capturing value is a natural outcome of that. So I think first point that I want to make is that generosity is not simply an act, but it's an attitude that does lead to acts like giving and sacrificing and all of that. But more importantly is that keep in mind that um, I don't think there's anything wrong with having an inclination or a default stance where I want to keep giving of myself. I think that's great. Number two, though, is that I would practice wisdom with being generous, because sometimes what we think is generous is really just wasteful. We think is generous is really just lack of stewardship, as you pointed out in the question. Um, I think there's still the idea that you want to give things, you want to give value, right? And just because you treat people to a drink or to coffee every day, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're giving value. Okay, and so I think that's how I would balance it, which is I want to have an orientation, a generous one, where I'm constantly giving value to people. But because of that, I also want to make sure that my giving results in more value and like my sharing results in more value for that person, for other people, for myself. Because when I do that, then I hit a few birds with one stone. So yeah, so I hope that was useful. I'm trying to answer these questions kind of like top of my head, so don't think that it's whoa, 100%. I gotta do it. It's a perspective, and that's just how I try to approach it. But I really appreciate the question, and then I can tell from the question that you're someone that wants to keep giving. And I guess I want to end with this. Usually, our weaknesses um, are not the opposite of our strengths, but the extremes of our strengths. So for someone like me who's always working, no one will ever say David is lazy, but it's possible, and it is a weakness that I overwork. And so for generous people, people may not call you lazy or selfish, right? But it's possible that you've given up too much in the sense that your activities are no longer sustainable because they're not actually wise. So yeah, so I'd keep that in mind. Like when you see people who are very good with people, they say very friendly people, their weakness will not be unfriendliness. Their weakness will be maybe they're too friendly in the sense that they don't know how to confront people or they don't know how to pick the right friends. So so I just want to keep that where it is possible to have a good thing and for it to become too much if it leads to Not simply imbalances, but where it leads to a situation where it's no longer generating value for anyone. Okay, hope that helps. I'll try and answer more of these questions. I still don't know if the format should be one question, one video, whatever. Trying out stuff, still trying to figure out the whole streaming, the whole technology part of it. But I'm enjoying the process. So give me a like if you think I should do more of these. Um, you know, let's see how it goes.